So, Libby, you and I are both from the generation where our first encounter with the word Muslim or Islam was probably after the September 11th, 2001 attacks. What made you want to explore this topic?
We explored this topic because we had sort of a time crunch because we had two topics beforehand that had fallen through. But no, we looked into this topic because there had been some incidences in the recent past, like the UNC Chapel Hill students who are Muslims who had been victims of shootings. And then the same thing at Duke University. There was controversy about the Muslim call to prayer being held from the chapel. So it was kind of a topic, a hot topic at the time, and so we just kind of wanted to look into Muslim Americans of our generation.
And you talked to a family, you talked to the children and the parents. The parents are from overseas. The children grew up here where there was so much controversy surrounding the word Muslim or surrounding the word Islam. But what did you learn from that family?
Well, we learned that there's, as well as some controversy and some ignorance surrounding Islam, there's also a lot of acceptance, and that's sort of growing in recent years, especially after 9/11, because people are becoming a lot more curious about the religion. After some research, we've learned that Islam is actually growing in America. There's not as much hate as might be projected in the media. We've also learned that just Muslim Americans just want their faith to be, projected accurately. So we talked to Ehab, who's the father of the family, and he said that, the actions of a very small minority who happen to be really violent sometimes get broadcasted as the actions of all Muslims, but that's obviously, we know that's not the case.
This has been a trial and error process for you guys, having two other stories that kind of fell through right at the end. The rest of us had 6 weeks or the whole first half of the semester to work on this, and you guys put this together in a way shorter amount of time. What was that like for you guys?
It was at the beginning when we had gotten that email that said, we're not going to continue this story. It was definitely a stomach-dropping, sort of gut-wrenching moment because we were sitting there with, 2 weeks ahead of us to complete an entire story that we had not even come up with a concept for. So that was tough, that initial reaction. But I think what really helped us was just how obliging and welcoming our interview subjects were. So the family that we spoke to were so willing to help us, and so they were just fantastic interviewees, and they were great to talk to, honestly. Like, they helped us so much and were so informational. So I think just creating a rapport with them was so easy that luckily things just came together really naturally. And also there was a ton of editing to be done, but thankfully with Amory it all got done very efficiently, and it all came together really well.
You come from a print background, not the broadcast journalism side. So what were the pros and cons of working on this project?
Okay, yeah, the cons were I at times felt like a fish out of water, like on some shoots and stuff. Like, I didn't feel comfortable with the equipment. I didn't feel super comfortable with video and audio and things like that. But I think I did gain some familiarity, but that was definitely not my strong suit. Amory and Eric were really comfortable with that stuff, and they know what they're doing. So I just sort of stepped back and let them do their thing. But I think having been in print for a few years kind of helped with the script as far as like structure and story goes. But at the same time, like, there was a lot of give and take. So like print writing is different from broadcast writing. So I did learn a little bit about, writing in a way that works for broadcast. But I do think that having a print background helped make a nice story in the end.
From first coming up with the idea for the piece to now being back from New York after the screening with 60 Minutes, what was the most unexpected part of all of this?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess the feedback was somewhat unexpected. I guess, like, we had talked about a lot of things. Like, one thing that we focused on was, since this is such a complicated issue and it's so huge, we didn't want to leave anything out. And so then when we got there, they mentioned that we sort of missed our opportunity to talk about things going on overseas, which was right. We didn't really delve into that so much because we wanted to keep it localized and keep it, pretty much exclusively about Muslim Americans. So that was unexpected when I first heard it, but, going back over it, like, I definitely understand where that's coming from, and, that's a really good point. That was unexpected for sure, but I mean, overall, I think I was surprised at, like, how much of a whirlwind it all was. Especially with, going off of our third story idea, that was a short amount of time. And before you know it, we were in New York showing this thing that we'd worked so hard on. So I think, like, I sort of, before taking this class, I thought it was going to be a slow and painful process. And while it was painful at sometimes, it really, looking back, it all seems like it happened so quickly. But I've definitely learned a lot through the whole experience. So overall, there have been really unexpected parts throughout, but overall, it's been a great experience.
And for print people that may want to take this class next year, what piece of advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, I would definitely encourage anyone in print to take this class because 60 Minutes is such a, it's like the pinnacle of long-form journalism. And you need great writers for that, If you're not comfortable with so much with the broadcast side, I would still encourage doing this because it's a great learning opportunity, not just for that, but also to improve your print journalism. I feel like I've become a stronger writer. And it just, I feel as though it's really taught me how to tell a story well, better than I've been doing before taking this class. So
great. Well, thank you, Libby.
Thank you.